Council for February 6th at 7 p.m. All council members are present. Would you please join with me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Laura, do you want to join me? So we have a very special guest here with us tonight, Chef Michael DuPont from, am I going to say it right, La Baguette, Normandy? Yes. Okay, I'm not like Tom Barr who's back there speaking French to you, so I just have to say whatever he said and hope it was good. But Chef, come on down here. Oh, and he's bringing a box.
Yeah. Cannot come like this, you know.
This is why you're a special guest.
Can I go to a cookie to share for everyone?
Okay, even for them too?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, all right.
Where you decide, okay?
Okay. Well, is it like a big cookie or is it vegetable?
You want to leave it, they can provide it for you.
This is the important food.
Edible. We don't have to do it.
Oh.
But that's a very traditional French cookie.
Okay.
I have here.
Okay. Council
Wow.
seat. Do you make it through the whole meeting?
Oh, wow.
That's it? Right.
Can we get a recess and some milk, please?
So this is good. Come stand here. So, Councilmember Hefta and I had an opportunity to go visit Global Villages Academy earlier this year, where the French ambassador to the United States was attending to honor the academy with one of their highest educational awards. So we walk in, there's a beautiful spread, and of course, I hope I don't cause an international incident here, but the French ambassador was just plowing into this big, beautiful spread. And we're like, who made this? Who made this? Well, it was Chef DuPont from La Baguette, Normandy, and you donated all of that.
Yes.
As a method of kind of showing off your culture, showing what you do for a business. And
to have the school too.
Yep. So tell us a little bit, how long have you been in business? How long have you been a chef?
So, for a chef, I mean, 35 years ago. Wow. Yeah.
You started when you were
16 years
young.
old.
Wow.
And the small bakery in Normandy where I'm from. And I went to school for the past 2 years, bake chocolate. After this, I work and I opened my first bakery with my wife, Bianca. Yes. And so we opened our first bakery close to Deauville, in the famous town. And we have the famous event, and after this, we had the bakery for 7 years, and we decided to move to Parker. We used to come on vacation here to relax, and we visited in for I went to Colorado, and we decided to open the bakery here. 15 years ago.
Awesome. You know, Parker's an international destination now. Everybody knows that. For vacations, for starting a business. But what was it about Parker that you chose?
Because I think at this time it was a little bit out of Denver. We like the kind of house and it was quiet and relaxed, you know. But we want to open our bakery and raise our kids too. We have to serve.
Well, John Boos is not here, but tell me it wasn't about the 90-day approval process. Councilmember Hefty, you nominated Chef DuPont. Do you want to say a few words?
I did. As you mentioned, we went to the Global Village Academy with the ambassador, Philip Etienne, to the country of France. And it was there that I had the opportunity to speak with Chef DuPont and his lovely wife, Bianca, who run the shop in Parker, Colorado. And I asked a little bit about their community involvement. And it's then that I learned how involved Chef DuPont is with his wife Bianca in the community, promoting French language and culture to middle schools and high schools, volunteering his time and teaching the students about that culture through his French pastry shop. So it's a very unique business that Chef DuPont has in Parker, but it's really his volunteerism and his love and care of spreading the French culture in the community of Parker of why we're honoring him here tonight, because he's going above and beyond as a business owner in our community to spread the French culture and language, and we really appreciate that.
Well said, well said. So let me read this for you, Chef. Certificate of recognition awarded to Chef Michael DuPont for your dedication to provide superb service as a business owner to various local charity and school events in Parker, and for promoting international relations between American citizens and the French citizen. And it's signed on February 6th. So congratulations.
Thank you very much.
You want to say a few words?
I'm not used to, but I would like to thank you very much. You recognize us. It's something very, I would say, it means a lot for Anka and I. Just open a bakery here, and I would say thanks you to my employees, because I mean they are part of our business, and we need them a lot. And without them, the bakery won't be the same. So thank you to you, Chef. Thank you to you, Laura, and thank you to my employees.
Great,
We're
thank
not
you.
here tonight, but we are like a family. So that's why it's important to
I love it.
thanks everyone.
Well, congratulations. We're going to get a picture with you too.
Center here.
Hold the cookies.
Not yet.
Thank you. All right. Thank you very much. Bianca, thank you for coming.
Mr. Mayor, if I could, I'd just like to share, 15 years ago, I was starting a small business on Main Street, and I started with one baker, and that baker decided not to bake so early for me. So I had nowhere to go. So I went to Michelle's shop and said, I've got this business on Main Street, I need pastries, and without hesitation. So I saw him every morning for a year at crack of dawn, and pull up in my pickup and get some pastries and take them over to my coffee shop and serve them. So not only an ambassador, but a good businessman. So thank you, sir. We wouldn't be who we are without you.
Fantastic, fantastic. All right, council, we got some work to do before we get to the cookies. So thank you, Chef. Thank you, Bianca. All right, next up is public comment. Public comment is an opportunity for town residents and other interested individuals to speak on items that are not on the agenda. The comment period is open to the first 30 minutes of the meeting, and if there's any overflow, we'll continue at the end of the meeting. You must sign up ahead of time in order to comment, and that sign up starts 30 minutes ahead of the meeting. I have no one signed up for public comment, but is there anyone in the audience wishing to address the council? Okay. All right, seeing none, we'll move on to reports, items, and comments from mayor and council. We'll start with Councilmember Hendricks.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Nothing to report.
Councilmember Wilkes.
So I had a really big birthday, and that was awesome. But outside of that, attended the big picture update with the town, which was great just to learn about what we've done in the last year and where we're going in the future. So I enjoyed that. And then went to the groundbreaking ceremony for the new veterinary clinic that's coming to Parker, which I'm super excited about. So yeah, I'm excited about the things coming to Parker.
Great. Councilmember Rivero.
Thank you. To mimic Brandy, I was at Big Picture, both Big Pictures, and then the ground baking in between. And then way back in January, because it's been a while, partnership was virtual, I think because of snow. Yeah, and then we had Cherry Creek Basin Water Quality Authority the next day, which was an outstanding meeting. And again, we got some good stuff coming.
Great. Councilmember Dyak.
Thank you very much. January 18th, I had a DRCOG board meeting. Among the items that we addressed, the transportation improvement or TIP project delays. That's a region-wide. We had a number of project delays, largely due to numerous matters. 2022 policy statement on legislative issues. Staff was looking to get some feedback from DRCOG board members on what's important to the region as a whole. RTD zero fare for better air update. We asked RTD to provide us feedback on their month without fees. Shockingly, ridership was up 22%, but only 9% were new riders. On the first DRCOG work session, we had some transportation-related development plan updates. We also continued a discussion on potential role or the potential role for DRCOG to have in a regional housing initiative. And today I had a nominating committee to discuss those candidates for DRCOG's Performance and Engagement Committee and Finance and Budget Committee. That is all.
Great. Councilmember Barrington?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. It's actually been a really quiet January, I think with all the snow and everything, but just, we didn't have meetings the last 2 weeks. But on January 26th, I did have a Douglas County Housing Partnership meeting, and I mentioned this to council a little bit earlier, but some exciting things happening with the housing partnership. I'm just going to read a quick paragraph here from a resolution we passed. So the Douglas County Housing Partnership intends to partner with Wellspring Community to provide affordable housing opportunity to low-income and underserved households with intellectual and developmental disabilities, IDD. The La Quinta Inn Rehab converts the 63-room building into an affordable, vibrant, neuro-inclusive community with 42 apartment homes, 2 staff, and ample common space. So I think this is a really exciting partnership, and I'll, keep you informed as the partnership moves forward with Wellspring.
Councilmember Hefta?
Yes, I attended a Zoom for the Colorado Municipal League online, just some upcoming legislative matters for the 2020-23 legislative season at our Capitol. I coordinated with Douglas County Commissioners on participating in a video for the new VA Veterans Administration building that will be coming to Castle Rock, opening in 2024. I think a number of us veterans that are elected officials were asked to participate in the video by the county commissioner. I did enjoy swimming at the pool with my family, our lovely Parker Rec Center, as always. And I do appreciate the hard work of the Public Works and Engineering Department with the snow removal these past few weeks. There's been a lot of residents having concerns about snow removal, and I do appreciate how hardworking our Public Works and Engineering have been to address these matters. Thank you.
Great. Just a couple updates from me. We welcomed the Colorado Municipal League representatives here a couple weeks ago for their 100th birthday of representing Colorado municipalities, and had some fantastic cookies. So cookies are going to be the theme for 2023. So chef, just keep coming back. Friday, I welcomed the Colorado Tax Auditors Coalition to the town of Parker and gave them a brief update of our town, and they were a very exciting group, just based on their name. This past week, Rhonda, were you there? I was. Okay. You missed my joke, but it was missable. So also had a chance to go to the Parker Conservatives last week and brag about all the great work the town council and the town of Parker is doing. We had the Veterinary Center of Parker groundbreaking last week as well. I think one of the unique things about this group, this is a organization that has a brick and mortar building already, but business has gotten so great for them and so expansive that they took over the field across the street from their building, and now they're going to actually build and invest in Parker and own their own building. And Councilmember Rivero and Wilkes were there with me as well. And then, just as you are all planners, make sure you are marking your date for May 23rd for the State of the Town address, starting at 7:30 in the morning. We'll feed you, and it should be a great way to celebrate all things Parker. So I think that's been my couple weeks. Michelle, do you have an update, or are you just laughing at me?
No, it's confirming, yeah.
Okay, all right. All right. Next item up is the consent agenda. Consent agenda items are considered to be routine and will be enacted by one motion and one vote. There will be no separate discussion of the consent agenda unless council wants to remove an item for individual discussion. Ordinances on the consent agenda are for introduction only and will not be removed for any discussion. So council, you have items 5A through 5J for your consideration.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve consent agenda items 5A through 5J, please.
I'll second.
Motion is made by Rivera, second by Hendricks. Rivera?
Aye.
Wilks?
Yes.
Hendricks?
Yes.
Dyak?
Yes.
Barrington?
Yes.
Hefta?
Yes.
And that passes 6-0. Next up is our first public hearing of the night, of many, and it is the Pope property annexation. Council, that's been requested to be continued to May 1st, 2023. So I will need a motion to extend that out to date certain of May 1st of 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is made by Rivero, second by Dyak. Rivero?
Aye.
Wilks?
Aye.
Hendricks?
Yes.
Dyak?
Yes.
Barrington?
Yes.
Hefta?
Yes.
And that passes 6-0. I don't need to do a motion on the ordinance, do I, Madam Town Attorney? On item A1?
I'm looking at the, oh, yes, can I get a motion to continue the public hearing to consider ordinance number 2.282 to May 1st, 2023?
Okay, so
So moved.
Josh, you adopt?
I do.
Okay, John, do you adopt the second?
Yep.
Okay. Rivero?
Aye.
Wilks?
Aye.
Hendricks?
Yes.
Dyak?
Yes.
Barrington?
Yes.
Hefta?
Yes.
That passes 6-0. Thanks for that clarification. Next up is the public hearing on the Daisy Rowley House MDP. Ashley Chaz, is it
It's Chazé.
Chazé?
Yes.
Ashley Chazé, welcome. This is your
It's actually
first.
French, just like Chef.
It's a theme
Dupont.
tonight. It's a
Yeah.
theme.
Would you like a cookie? Because we have a few.
I would eventually love
You
one.
got to stay for after. You got to stay for after.
Let her get through first.
All right, we'll go ahead and open up the public hearing at 7:17. We'll turn it over to Ashley.
Good evening, Mayor and Town Council. This evening, I will be presenting the Daisy Riley House minor development plat application request. So this property is in the downtown area east of Main Street. This property is bounded by Studio at Main Street on the north, and to the east by the Schoolhouse Cultural Event Center, and to the west by Pikes Peak Drive, and to the south by other commercial parcels. This property is zoned in the Greater Downtown Historic Center Zone District and is located within the Main Street Master Plan character area of the Parker 2035 Master Plan. That one's a mouthful. And so this property was annexed into the town in 1981 when the town was originally incorporated, but it has never been platted. This site includes 2 lots. On lot 1 is an existing single-story building built in 1993. That is currently being used as the office of Plum Creek Mortgage. On lot 2, there are 2 structures, one of which is the existing building that was built in 1917 and was once owned by Daisy Riley, the daughter of the original homesteaders that settled the area that is now known as Riley Downs. The other structure is a large accessory garage located behind this historic home, and this property is currently being used as a contracting business, Ryan and Company. So this minor development plat application, known as the Daisy Riley House Minor Development Plat, proposes to plat these 2 unplatted parcels of land as well as reserve a 2.5-foot easements for future sidewalk and street projects. This site is approximately 0.527 acres and is proposed to be platted into 2 legal lots of record. Staff has reviewed the proposal and has determined that 1, the project is consistent with the master plan, 2, that all platting requirements for the land and development ordinance has been satisfied, and 3, public notice requirements have been satisfied. Also, the Planning Commission heard this proposal on January 12th and unanimously recommended approval. So therefore, staff and the planning commission recommends that the town council approve the Daisy Riley House minor development plat. This concludes staff's presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Great. Ashley, do you have an applicant with you tonight, or are we it?
We are the applicant.
All right, Weldy bailed on you, huh? All right. All right, council, we'll go in for staff questions before we get to the public comment period. We'll start with Councilmember Hefta. Any questions?
No questions.
Councilmember Barrington?
So this was annexed into the town in 1981, but although it was annexed in at the time, it didn't have a typical, is it like a legal description? And so that kind of turns into a mess.
Yes, this is actually a cleanup area, a cleanup measure for the whole downtown area. That's what our other presentations are on tonight as well. This should actually conclude all of our platting in the downtown once we finish. I think one of them is getting pushed, but after that one, it should all be finished.
Great, okay, thank you.
Councilmember Dyak?
No questions.
Councilmember Hendricks?
No questions.
Councilmember Wilkes?
No questions.
And Councilmember Barrington. I'm sorry, Rivero.
No questions.
Skipping back the other way. All right, with that, we're going to go and open up for public comment at 7:21. Anyone wishing to make a public comment on the Daisy Rowley House item? Seeing none, we'll close it at 7:21 and close the public hearing. Council will bring it back to you for final comments. Start with Councilman Rivero.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate the hard work here. I appreciate the partnership with the property owners. Obviously, these are old properties, and they weren't platted, and frankly, didn't have a legal description. I know that my property bumped up to his property, and that's all that mattered. And so I'm glad we're getting it in. With that, I find consistency with the master plan, consistency with the LDO, and all public notice was met.
Councilmember Wilkes.
None.
Councilmember Hendricks.
I have no comment.
Councilmember Dyak.
Yeah, as Councilmember Barrington and Rivera have indicated, it's always good to clean up and get these potentially problem parcels rectified in proper planning and minor development plat modes. So for the next three, I fully appreciate staff support and working through this so we can clean that up. Thank you.
Councilmember Barrington.
No, thank you for all your hard work, everyone.
And Councilmember Hefta.
Just for the record, this proposal will create 2 legal lots, for the record, and it allows for the continuation of existing uses and will provide opportunity for future redevelopment within the context of the existing zoning and supports the goals and strategies of our Main Street Master Plan. Thank you.
Great. I'll entertain a motion on the Daisy Rowley House MDP.
I move to approve Daisy Rowley House minor development plat based on staff findings.
Second.
Motion is made by Hendricks, seconded by Hefta. Rivero?
Aye.
Wilkes?
Aye.
Hendricks?
Yes.
Dyak?
Yes.
Barrington?
Yes.
Hefta?
Yes.
And that passes 6-0.
Good
Great
job,
job, Ashley. Okay, Stacy, she needs a harder one next time. Okay. All right. We got an apartment coming up, anything? All right, next up, item number C, the Gladys O'Brien House MDP. There's a request to continue this out to March 6th, so I'll entertain a motion to that effect.
Mr. Mayor, I move to continue the Gladys O'Brien minor development plat to a date certain of March 6, 2023, please.
Second.
Motion is made by Rivero, seconded by Wilkes. Rivero?
Aye.
Wilkes?
Aye.
Hendricks?
Yes.
Dyak?
Yes.
Barrington?
Yes.
Hefta?
Yes.
And that passes 6-0. Next up is the Exchange Building minor development plat, and I think we have Amber with us. Is this your first time tonight? All right. And you got 2.
I'm doing one tonight.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Good evening, Mayor and Town Council. This is the Exchange Minor Development Plat application request. The subject property is located in the downtown area on the southwest corner of Pikes Peak Drive and Main Street. The property is bounded on the north by Main Street, to the east by Pikes Peak Drive and the Victorian Peaks Building, and to the south by Pilgrim's Place, and to the west by a commercial parcel, currently a hair salon. The property is zoned Greater Downtown Historic Zone District and is located within the Main Street Master Plan character area of the Parker 2035 Master Plan. The subject property was annexed into the town in 1981 with the original incorporation of the town, but has never been platted. The site includes an existing brick commercial building built in 1986. The multi-tenant commercial building houses a number of local businesses, primarily with office uses. The Exchange Minor Development Plat proposes to plat this unplatted parcel of land and reserve easements for the town's future sidewalk and streetlight project on Pikes Peak Drive. The site is approximately .693 acres and is proposed to be platted into one lot of legal record. Staff has presented the proposal to the Planning Commission on January 12th and received a unanimous recommendation. Staff has also determined that the project is consistent with the master plan and that all platting and public notice requirements for the land development ordinance have been satisfied. Therefore, staff recommends that Town Council approve the Exchange Minor Development Plat. This concludes staff's presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Great. We'll go for staff questions. Councilmember Hefta?
No questions, thank you.
Councilmember Barrington?
No questions, thanks.
Councilmember Dyak?
No questions.
Councilmember Hendricks?
No questions.
Councilmember Wilkes?
A little question. So my office is actually in this building. Is this?
So anytime there's a property interest which may conflict or interfere with or influence or be perceived by the public as influencing the member's conduct, prior to acting, you will disclose the nature of the conflict, which you did, thank you. And then the remaining members of the council shall establish by a majority vote whether the interest does in fact constitute a conflict of interest. In deciding that, you will consider whether the conflict of interest impedes independence of judgment, the effect of the member's participation on the public confidence and the integrity of the governing body, whether the member's participation is likely to have any significant effect on the ultimate disposition of the matter and the member's fiduciary obligations to the town.
Great. Thank you, Madam Town Attorney. Council, hearing that, any motion to the conflict of interest, whether one exists, one does not exist?
Mr. Mayor, I move that Councilwoman Wilkes does not have a conflict of interest with this vote.
Second.
Motion is made by Councilman Rivera, seconded by Councilmember Hendricks, that Councilmember Wilkes does not have a conflict of interest in this matter. Rivera?
Aye.
Wilkes?
Can I vote for myself?
No, she does not.
You never know. Hendricks?
Aye.
Dyak?
No.
Barrington?
Yes.
Hefta? And that passes 5-0.
Oh.
So I'm sorry.
I'm going to say no, just because I want it to preserve the integrity of the process, not that that's related to Councilmember Wilkes.
So you do find a conflict of interest?
Yes.
Okay.
And Dyak said no as well.
Well, no, I don't believe that she has a conflict of interest, real or perceived.
So your vote would
Okay.
be yes.
Okay.
Yes, okay.
Thanks.
I
That's
didn't
what I
either.
heard.
My apologies.
Okay.
First time.
Well, I mean, just, I think we've handled it differently, and again, I just default to, muscle memory here, so my apologies to council and the mayor.
Okay. All right, so that motion passes 4-1 with Councilmember Wilkes abstaining. So we'll continue with Councilmember Rivero. Questions?
No questions.
Okay. Councilmember Wilkes, did you have any questions?
No.
Mayor statement. Okay. Then we're going to go ahead and open this for public comment at 7:28. Anybody wishing to make public comment on the Exchange Building? Seeing none, we'll close that and close the public hearing at 7:29. Council will bring it back to you for final comments. We'll start with Councilmember Rivero.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I too find this NDP is consistent with the master plan, obviously consistent with the land development ordinance, and here very consistent with the zone district standards and planning development guide. And I believe that all public notice requirements were met. I'm in favor.
Councilmember Wilkes?
None.
Councilmember Hendricks?
Nothing.
Councilmember Dyak?
None, thank you.
Councilmember Barrington?
None, thank you.
Hold on, one moment. Did you open the public hearing?
I did.
Okay,
Yep. Up and down.
up and down.
Councilmember Hefta?
The only comment is that this creates a legal lot of record as required by the municipal code. and it allows it to be platted. So that's what we want. Thank you.
Great. I'll entertain a motion on the Exchange Building MDP.
I move to approve the Exchange Minor Development Plat based on staff findings.
Second?
Motion is made by Barrington, seconded by Hefta. Rivero?
Aye.
Wilks?
Aye.
Hendricks?
Yes.
Dyak?
Yes.
Barrington?
Yes.
Hefta?
Yes.
And that passes 6-0. All right, next up is the Park Village South Tract A sketch and preliminary plan. We'll go ahead and open up the public hearing on this one at 7:30. And we will welcome back to the town of Parker, Julia Duncan. We're so glad you're back.
Very good.
Thank you very much. I couldn't be happier to be here, and thank you for having me. Good evening, Mayor, council members. Julia Duncan, and I'll be presenting to you tonight the proposed sketch and preliminary plan in Combark Village South. The applicant has provided documentation that required public notice has been provided. The subject property is located south of E470 and Belford Avenue between Chambers Road and Peoria Road. Belford Avenue currently connects to Peoria, but has not been completed to the west of Chambers. The development is the final phase of single-family homes, completing out the street grid and infrastructure for the residential portion of Compark Village South residential development. The sketch and preliminary plan for Tract A is an approximate 7.69 acre undeveloped site that is the final phase of Compark Village South single-family residential development and includes extensions of existing roads and infrastructure. The sketch and preliminary plans request approval of 33 residential lots, approximately 1.2 acres of open space, and approximately 1.24 acres of parks. As I mentioned, the development is providing 1.24 acres of park space. The park will include several park amenities that satisfy the required park dedication requirements. The park area will consist of both active and passive elements, including play equipment, a shelter with seating, ping pong table, a barbecue, and flower and butterfly instruments. Staff has reviewed the proposal and has determined that the project is consistent with the master plan. All plating requirements of the plan development and land development ordinance have been satisfied. The proposal provides adequate access, infrastructure, drainage facilities, and design considerations, and utility providers have confirmed capacity and availability. All referral agency comments have been addressed or will be addressed at the time of the final plat, and the public notice requirements have been satisfied. Based on staff review, staff and the Planning Commission recommend Town Council approve the sketch and preliminary plans for Compark Village South Tract A. This concludes staff's report. The applicant's representative, Paul Shukas, as well as Cindy Myers of Century Communities are both here, and I believe Paul is going to be presenting tonight and would be available for any questions you may have.
Great. So, Council, let's start with staff questions of Julia. Councilmember Hendricks?
No questions.
Councilmember Wilks?
None.
Councilmember Rivero?
No questions.
Councilmember Dyak?
No questions.
Councilmember Barrington?
No questions.
Councilmember Hefta?
No questions. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Shukas? Ms. Myers? Or whoever's going to present. Either way. And if you will, state your name and address for the record, too.
Hello, my name is Paul Shukas. I'm at 200 Calumet Street in Denver, 80223.
Great.
So once again, thank you very much for listening to our application. I always think staff does a great job presenting, so I will be brief. I'll just hit some of the design points at a high level. Once again, I'm with PCS Group. I'm representing the land planning and landscape architectural portion of this project. Merrick is available. They're our civil engineer to answer any questions you might have via phone. And as you know, Century Communities is the builder and developer for the project. They have a multitude of different home styles that they offer, condominiums, apartments, single-family attached, but I'm here to talk about their single-family collection tonight. They became in business in 2002. They were publicly traded then in 2014. They're headquartered in Greenwood Village, Colorado, and they are no stranger to Parker, Colorado. They have a presence here. So Julia already mentioned where the site is, just north of Grandview Estates. This slide really just gives me an opportunity to thank staff. Julia and Bryce in particular for being a liaison through the process. You know, as a land planning and design, part of a design team, it takes more than just us to formulate a great land plan, and I just appreciate the collaboration that staff and the other different referral agencies have. So obviously, I'm here to request your approval tonight for a sketch and preliminary plan. As Julia mentioned, this meets the general land use map under medium density residential, and in particular, we're here to talk about PA 17 and 18. As Julia mentioned, there's 192 already platted lots in those two planning areas. I'm here to talk about the remaining 33 single-family homes that PUD anticipates. This is what we are hopeful that you'll approve tonight. This is what we anticipate the site plan to look like. We meet and exceed all of the different requirements as it relates to the development plan. And this is our sketch plan. I'll spend a moment here, but not too long. The biggest takeaway is that our parks and open space are over 30% of the gross land area for this parcel. As you can see, our parks are to the east of the property. They buffer some of the multifamily that's even further east, and they actually complement some of the other parks that are actually adjacent to this. We had the privilege of assisting Century Communities in designing some of those, and I can get into that in just a little bit. We have an open space buffer to the south. Then you can see our single-family lots are further to the west here, lined in an east-west direction. We're basically a continuation of the street grid. The parks will be owned and maintained by an HOA. The streets will be public. I had mentioned to Planning Commission previously that we are not responsible for the street names. We fully embrace them, and should you approve this evening, we look forward to the final plat and addressing process.
So whose child was in charge of the naming?
Yikes.
Somebody's.
I'll defer.
It's rhetorical. You don't have to answer.
So this is basically just an overall vicinity map of how this parcel fits within the overall compact area just south of Belford Ave. So you can see Century Communities multifamily to the east of us. And you can see some of that park and open space buffer and some of those complementary uses there. We have regional connectivity to the south there that's going in an east-west direction, our single-family homes. And then as you work your way west, you have more single-family homes, and to the north are single-family attached. This is just a quick snapshot of what our park will look like. We'll have different connections and walking paths through the park. We have that regional connectivity to the south of us. There'll be multiple shade structures, multiple seating areas with picnic tables and gaming tables. We do have a large native area within the park. I would have loved the whole thing to be turf, but in an effort to be water-wise and water-conscious, we've been pretty deliberate about where active play areas are and where native play area, nativescape is. There'll be play structures for kids between the ages of 5 and 12, and we'll have a display garden there to the south. This is just a quick perspective of what that northern portion of the park looks like. You can see that native area in the backdrop. That's our playscape with some of those shade shelters. This is that southern area. We're overlooking some of that regional trail connectivity, some of that native open space buffer with some of the display gardens. This is just a snapshot of some of the seating and the multiple areas where we'll have it. This is what our display garden looks like. It's a great opportunity for family photos and gatherings. Some of that regional trail connectivity, and just a snapshot of what we believe the character of the neighborhood would look like. So we believe that this meets the Parker's criteria as it relates to sketch and preliminary. I'd rather actually not go through this with you unless you'd like me to. And I am here to answer any questions and respectfully request your recommendation for approval this evening.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. We'll start off with applicant questions in the same form. Councilmember Hendricks?
No questions.
Councilmember Wilks?
Can you come back to me?
Sure, Councilmember Rivera.
Thank you. Real quick, you talked about publicly owned streets. Can we go back to a picture of Bunny Hop Lane? And not picking on that name, somebody deserved to name it. But where would the public deed end? I see we go into a parking lot that gets jumbled with the apartment and/or the park. The public road ends at the throating there. Is that?
It does. So it ends at our parcel, and then it becomes private.
Okay. Excellent.
Good
Thank you.
question.
Okay. Councilmember Dyak?
No questions. Thank you for the presentation.
Councilmember Barrington?
No questions, thank you.
Councilmember Hefta?
Yes, can we go back to, or advance to the slide that shows the streets with the houses on it? Yeah, that slide right there. So just in keeping with the character of most neighborhoods around Parker, some of the older neighborhoods had created too narrow of a street. How wide are your streets between the houses? I don't see an island in there.
They're 55-foot right-of-ways. I have to grab my plans to actually give you a flow line to flow line measurement. Is that what you're asking for? The pavement? I might not be understanding your
Just
question.
from house to house. I don't see an island in the middle of these. I see a
And
lot
when you
of.
say from house to house, do you mean from front yard to front yard?
Yeah.
So it would be 55 plus 20 plus 20. So 55, 75. 95 feet.
And what was the requirement? Do you recall?
I'll look at the PUD, but I think the front yard setbacks are 15 or 20 feet.
Julia, do you want to weigh in on that real fast?
So as far as the roadway, it does meet our standards for a local right-of-way, and that's reviewed by engineering at the time. Those are predetermined widths for street, for right-of-way, for sidewalks. The PD, this will also require a submittal for our residential design minimums, and we ensure that with each plot of each individual lot, that single-family home meets the planned development setback requirements for front, side, rear yards.
Right. And in the past, maybe about 30 years ago, some of those numbers were different, correct? Because you have some communities in Parker, I see Stacy shaking her head, had very narrow streets.
And this property was actually annexed into the town in 2015. So at that time of annexation is when the PD was also adopted. So in that interim between the 1980s and 2015, we've had updated standards and requirements.
Thank you so much. Just in case anybody was inquiring that had their house built in the 1970s, they might, want to know that we're up to date on those setbacks. Thank you.
Councilor Wilkes?
Yes, thank you for the second. You're saying if you can go back to the plots for each.
Sorry about that.
No, you're fine. Keep going. Yeah, that one or that one. That's fine. So you're saying they're 5,500 square foot lots?
At a minimum.
Okay, and what are the rough size houses square footage that you're putting on them or wanting to put on them?
One moment, please. I think that's probably better answered by Century Communities. There'll be ranches and 2 stories, but did you say 2,500 square feet? What's your name? So the ranches will be between 1,600 and 1,800 square feet, and the 2 stories will be between 2,200 and 2,800 square feet.
Okay, I just know that it's something that a lot of people have brought up about houses being essentially on top of each other, especially in Parker. The backyards are getting smaller and you can reach out your window and high five your neighbor. So I'm just curious with 5,500 square foot lots, what size houses would be going on there. So do you have an idea right now for setbacks? Are you going straight up to the 5-foot setback on both sides for the easements, or do you plan on having more space?
Well, because of the town of Parker's code, it will basically help differentiate and diversify the different houses that are adjacent to each other. So most likely they won't go up to the building envelope just because of that diversity ruling of architecture. So obviously ranches take up a larger footprint. Two stories do not. So, but I don't have yet, at this stage in the game, which home models will go on which lots yet.
Yeah, and that's fair. I was just curious about what size houses you were wanting to put on the 5,500 square foot lots. So
Got it.
thank you.
Sure.
All right, thanks, sir. We're going to open up the public comment period of this at 7:45. Anyone from the public wishing to make a comment on the Compark Village South Tract A sketch and preliminary plan? Okay, seeing now, we're going to close the public comment and the public hearing at 7:45. Bring it back to the council for final comments in the same order. Councilmember Hendricks?
No comments.
Councilmember Wilkes?
None.
Councilmember Rivera?
Thank you. I appreciate the presentation. I also appreciated your landscape design. I dug in there. My big thing lately is more and more evergreen. And I see you, to me, it seems like even a better balance than what we've been seeing lately. So I just wanted to acknowledge that. And you did acknowledge that when you said you can't do the whole thing in turf. You have to acknowledge where we live, and we do live in the high plains and the desert, if you will. So thank you for what I would say is a greater balance of evergreen versus leaf. Understanding that you have to put the canopies over the roads and all that, but I did see the barriers were for evergreen. So I just want to acknowledge and say thank you. With that, I find that this is consistent with the master plan, consistent with the LDO, and consistent with the zone districts and planning development guide.
Great. Councilmember Dyak?
No questions or comments, thank you.
Councilmember Barrington?
No questions or comments.
And
Thank you.
Councilmember Hefta?
I just want to thank you for thinking of the children and the elderly people and the middle-aged people on the shade structures and the benches. We always need plenty of those in any development to keep the residents happy because they want to enjoy themselves. Thank you.
All right, I'll entertain a motion on the Compark Village South Tract A sketch and preliminary plan.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the Compark Village South Tract A sketch plan based on staff findings.
I'll second.
Motion is made by Rivero, seconded by Barrington. Rivero?
Aye.
Wilkes?
Aye.
Hendricks?
Yes.
Dyak?
Yes.
Barrington?
Yes.
Hefta?
Yes.
And that passes 6-0. And Mr. Shukas, the first time I hear public comment that they live at 123 Bunny Hop Lane, I'll think of you.
Mr. Mayor,
Mayor.
apologize. We have a second
We have
motion.
a second motion on the preliminary plan. There was a sketch plan and a
Mr. Mayor, I
preliminary
move to
Oh,
approve.
thanks, Josh.
You bet. I move to approve Compark Village South Tract A preliminary plan based on staff findings.
Second.
Motion made by Rivero, seconded by Hendricks. Rivero?
Aye.
Wilkes?
Aye.
Hendricks?
Yes.
Dyak?
Yes.
Barrington?
Yes.
Hefta?
Yes.
And that passes 6-0. And that's what I get for being funny here. So, sorry, thanks. All right, moving on. Contracts over $500,000. First up, we have item number 7A, final design contract for Lincoln Avenue widening at the Keystone Boulevard to Parker Road. And I think we have Mr. Ekstrom coming down. Welcome, sir.
Make sure this is turned on. Okay. Well, good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council. Yeah. Here to present the final design contract for the Lincoln Avenue widening project with FHU. Here's a quick vicinity map. The project limits are Keystone Boulevard to the west and Parker Road to the east. It's approximately about 1.6 miles. So what is happening? We're converting the roadway from a 4-lane section to a 6-lane section, including the widening of 4 bridges. We're adding multiple dedicated right turn lanes at select major intersections to increase mobility, improving sidewalks and curb ramps along the route to increase pedestrian mobility and ADA compliancy, improving drainage and water quality. We will be mill and overlaying existing roadway to increase pavement durability and rideability. And finally, restriping and re-signing the route to increase public safety. So a little project background. The roadway has a significant importance to Parker's long-term transportation plan. The town and Douglas County formed a partnership resulting in a design cost-sharing IGA 50/50 executed in May 21 and amended in May 22. It should say 22. IGA initiated a competitive design consultant selection process where FHU was selected as the project consultant. And the selection process resulted in a conceptual preliminary design contract approved by council in September of '21. The preliminary design is complete, and the team is ready to advance to final design. So a little bit about final design services. FHU will be attending meetings, providing project management, coordination, data collection efforts, surveying, and subsurface utility engineering. A big portion of the effort is right-of-way and easement acquisition services. There's approximately 29 impacted public and private properties along the route. They'll be focusing on environmental clearances and permitting, utility coordination and design, final roadway design, final structural engineering for the bridges, final drainage design, and support during advertisement and award. So to wrap it up, staff recommends Town Council award a final design contract with FHU in the amount of $1,742,170. Estimated contract completion is March 24, and the estimated construction time frame is 24 through 25. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Great. We'll start with questions to my left. Councilmember Dyak.
Thanks, Mayor. Bob, the only question I have is probably just sort of in the weeds here, but at the intersection of Lincoln and Jordan, we were talking about potentially doing some improvements south there, inclusive of the bridge. Are they included in this contract, or is that separate and apart?
Separate contract. That's referred to the Jordan Newland project.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Councilmember Barrington.
No questions, thank you.
Councilmember Hefta.
Yes, and this was originally contemplated because of the influx of the population into the town of Parker, or the fact that we probably needed to do this a little while ago?
It's always been contemplated, actually, from the original design. The time has come, traffic volumes are there, and it's time to widen the road.
Okay, so there was a study completed before about when the appropriate time was to engage and get this done, based on the volumes, the population, that kind of thing.
Yeah, traffic volumes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what was the percentage of increase, just out of curiosity, in the traffic volumes?
I'd have to get back to you on that. I don't have that on the top of my head.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Right. Councilmember Hendricks.
So, once expanded, would this be it? Like, there's no plans for 8 lanes, let's say?
Well, I think never say never. But I think it'll be a while if that happens.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Councilmember Wilkes.
None.
Councilman Rivera.
Bob, talk to me a little bit about this coinciding. I mean, we may have wanted to do it earlier, but this had to coincide with the county west of us, correct? They're widening there now, and this is going to work with that?
Yes, compatible with that project.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? We'll open it up for public comment at 7:53. Anybody wishing to make public comment on the final design contract? Seeing none, we'll close it at 7:53 and bring it back to the council for any final comments. Councilman Rivero?
No comments, sir.
Councilmember Wilkes?
No.
Councilmember Hendricks? Councilmember Dyak?
Just thank you to staff, and again, just more transportation money coming to better our roads.
Councilmember Barrington?
I was just looking for a stat. I think it was it 46? No. I don't have the numbers in from, I was going to share something about the traffic count.
Oh, thank you.
I do have that somewhere.
I can get back to you about that, yeah.
It was a lot of cars every day. Still is.
Councilmember Hefta?
Thank you, Bob, for the partnership with the Douglas County as well to get this done. Appreciate it.
All right, we'll entertain a motion on the final design contract.
I move to approve the staff recommendation as a part of the regular agenda.
Second.
Motion is made by Hendricks, seconded by Wilks. Rivera?
Aye.
Wilks?
Aye.
Hendricks?
Yes.
Dyak?
Yes.
Barrington?
Yes.
Hefta?
Yes.
And that passes 6-0. Next up is the Dransfeld Road Extension, CIP 23-001, on final design contract modifications. Mr. Hudson, welcome.
That's good. Time to go. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Background on this is we've been contemplating the extension of Dransfeld Road over Cherry Creek, south of 20 Mile, for over 2 decades. Important component of the area's long-term transportation plan, and it's extension that we are partnering with Douglas County on. This is a vicinity map showing you the area in orange or red is the Dransfeld Road Extension south, tying in at Salisbury Park. North is what it's called, and also some improvements back to the west, back to the Todd Matzenbacher intersection. I'm not going to go into all this, but we've had a series of IGAs and amendments to get to this point. We submitted a conditional letter of map revision March of last year, huge milestone in this project. Everybody keeps asking me when we're actually going to get the approval from FEMA. If I knew that, I'd be betting on Super Bowl this weekend. So, but with that, we approved the Third Amendment was the last one last year in April, March and April. A lot of details here. A series of contracts have already come to you. We've identified another $133,000 in work that needs to be done. There are 4 Parker water lines in Matzenbacher Road that have to be relocated to build this project. People ask me why there's so many utilities in Matzenbacher Road. If you look at an aerial from 1937 of Parker, there's one road on the west side of Cherry Creek. That's Matzenbacher Road. And guess what? Everybody put everything in it. So this change order is for a lot of utility potholing. 80 additional potholes, and then designed to relocate these water lines. I'm very optimistic in the next couple of months, I'll be back to you with an IGA for construction funding from Douglas County to get that locked in. And we have to get this design effort wrapped up. We hope to be bidding this construction out this summer for construction starting this fall. With that, I'll answer any questions that you might have.
All right, we'll start to my left, Councilmember Hefta.
I think I know why Mastenbacher Road has those water lines, because that's where all the original housing was around there. Is that right? There was a lot of original housing in the town of Parker in that area, correct?
It's correct. One line is actually for water. The rest all have to do with Ruder Hess and reuse lines. When they built those, Jordan Road didn't go through. There was all kinds of reasons why, but there's just, when you look at the map, it was only road over there, and so everybody put everything in it. So we have fiber lines, phone lines, gas lines, water lines. I'm trying to think what other utilities are out there. Everything you can think of is in the ground. Oh, power lines. I forgot about those. So they're out there as well. So
It's right by I live. I live out there. Thank you.
Councilmember Barrington.
Is it pronounced Matzenbacher?
yes, Matzenbacher.
Okay, just wanted to see if I was saying it wrong. No questions, thank you.
Councilmember Dyak.
No questions. Thanks, Chris.
Councilmember Hendricks.
No questions.
Councilmember Wilks.
No questions.
Councilmember Rivera.
No question.
All right. With that, we'll open it for public comment at 7:59. Anyone from the public wishing to make public comment? Seeing none, we'll close it at 7:59. We'll go in reverse order back. Any final comments, Councilman Rivera?
No comments.
Councilmember Wilks?
I mean, I can remember when Matzenbacher was a dirt road, so I love that there's a way to connect Matzenbacher over to Dransfeld and to 20 Mile, and I think this is fantastic, and I'm excited.
Councilmember Hendricks?
No comments.
Councilmember Dyak?
No comments.
Councilmember Barrington?
And I'm on the tail end of this, but I know it's a long time coming, so great job.
Great. And Councilmember Hefta.
Just thank you for your hard work on this. Thank you.
All right, and with that, I will entertain a motion on the Dransfeld Road Extension Final Design Contract Modification.
I move to approve the staff recommendation as part of the regular agenda.
Second.
Motion is made by Hendricks, seconded by Wilks. Rivero?
Aye.
Wilks?
Aye.
Hendricks?
Yes.
Dyak?
Yes.
Barrington?
Yes.
Hefta?
Yes.
And that passes 6-0. With no other business before the Parker Town Council, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn at 8 p.m.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion is made by Hefta, seconded by Wilks. Rivero?
Aye.
Wilks?
Aye.
Hendricks?
Yep.
Dyak?
Yes.
Barrington?
Yes.
Hefta?
Yes.
We're adjourned at 8 o'clock, and make sure you get a cookie.